Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Global TV AM News live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I am Fauziya Lukman. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of 3 new executive commissioners to serve the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, and the redeployment of 1 current executive commissioner, pending their confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. A statement by the presidency says Tinubu approved the reshuffling and replacement based on his deeply informed assessment of all factors concerning the sectors, with a view to establishing a regulatory frame and culture that comprehensively disincentivizes errant behavior and incentivize diligence and rule-based business practice across the industry. Similarly, President Tinubu assures investors from Saudi of world highest returns in Nigeria at the Saudi African Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. President Bola Tinubu has assured potential investors that their investments are safe in Nigeria. Speaking at the Saudi Africa Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Friday, President Tinubu said Nigeria is ready for business while assuring investors of some of the world's highest returns on investment. The president says Nigeria is desirous of enhancing collaboration with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on combating terrorist organizations such as Boko Haram, ISWAP, and other violent extreme groups which have been terrorizing the Lake Chad of Sahel regions. Nigeria and Saudi Arabia have always enjoyed a special relationship at both the bilateral and multilateral levels. Within the past 6 decades, our bilateral cooperation, which was initially Hajj-centric, has witnessed diversification to cover a number of areas of common interest. It is delightful to note the presence of this great kingdom of a large number of our patriotic and professionals, including highly skilled medical practitioners and professional footballers. President Tinubu mourns Nigeria's female Major General Aderonke Kali, who passed away at 84. Following the passing of Major General Aderonke Kali retired, President of Nigeria Bola Tinubu extends his condolences to the Kali family, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian medical community. He said she was a pioneer in her field and embodied with the courage, professionalism, capacity, and resilience of the Nigerian women. Kali, aged 84, was well known for her being the first female commander of the Nigerian Army Medical Corps and the first female Major General in the history of the Nigerian Army. In 1997, she announced her retirement from the Nigerian Army. According to a statement signed by Chief Ajuri Ngilali, Special Advisor to the President, Tinubu described Major General Kali as a pace-setter and her death as a painful loss to Nigeria. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Urisola Abiola as the Senior Special Assistant on Citizenship and Leadership. In this role, the President believes she will work closely with leadership of the Ministry of Youth. Abiola is a public relations professional and a youth and gender advocate. She is also a founding member of the party's Young Women's Movement and was appointed as one of the 3 youth representatives to the party's Board of Trustees in 2015. The federal government says it will start charging owners of completed unoccupied houses triple ground rent instead of the single rate normally charged from 3 months after completion. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmad Dengiwa, said this in an interview with Newsmen during his continuation to the site of housing projects constructed by the government and its agencies on Friday in Abuja. Dengiwa affirmed that the issues of completed unoccupied properties, which was prevalent in the FCT and some states of the Federation, while many citizens were in dire need of accommodations. The Appeal Court Lagos Division has dismissed the petition filed by Action Alliance and Accord Party against the election of Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State. The 3-member panel led by Justice Sani Hassan on Friday dismissed the petition after the appellate court observed that the findings of the Election Petition Tribunal were unassailable. The Action Alliance and its government candidate, Akwa Udot, had contended that the party name was not captured on the ballot paper. They therefore urged the court to nullify the elections. However, Eno and his party, the People Democratic Party, prayed the court to discountenance of submission of AA. In its effort to stem the tide of revenue loss in the solid mineral sector, the federal government has trained a total of 120 youths and women in Plateau State on artisanal and small-scale mining. The week-long capacity building, which was done through the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission in partnership with the United Nations Development Program, ended in Jos on Friday. The chairman of the RMAFC Research and Development Committee, Jacinto Kumbo, decried the low contribution of the solid mineral sector to the Nigerian revenue earnings, blaming it on the non-formalization of the activities of many actors in the sector. Tokubo noted that over the years, the Commission saddled with the constitutional responsibility to monitor accuracy into disbursement of revenue from the Federation account, had observed that revenue accuracy into the account from the solid mineral sector have been abysmal, low compared to that from the carbon. The Lagos State government has concluded plans to short and divert traffic on Marine Bridge, Apapa area of the state, for repairs from Friday 10th November till Thursday 21st of December 2023. Commissioner of Transportation Oluwasegun Ayesimi announced the planned closure for rehabilitation works. He noted that in continuation for the repair works by the Federal Ministry of Works on the Marine Bridge, traffic will be diverted to the bridge from Friday 10th November till Thursday 21st December 2023. Urging motorists to make use of the Marine Bridge access road to Area B and make a U-turn at a point junction towards the Marine Bridge to continue their journeys. He, however, assured that traffic personnel from the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority last month would be deployed to manage traffic flow and minimize inconveniences. The Niger State Police Command has arrested a 51-year-old woman for allegedly strangling a 3-year-old girl and attempting to take her to a buyer who has paid her 530,000 naira. The suspect, who was said to have stolen the child from the parents in the Tudunatira area of Minna, was arrested while trying to board a bus to transport the child to Nnewi in Anambra State. The statement read on October 25th, 2023 around 7:30 p.m. One Blessing Jeremiah 51 of Ketro Ngwari Minna was seen at the bus path around Mutumbi bypass Minna in an attempt to board a bus to travel with a 3-year-old girl suspected to have been abducted. The State Police Public Relations Officer Abdulwasiu Abiodun made this known on Friday in a statement in which he said the girl has been reunited with her parents. As part of the efforts to improve the welfare of its personnel, the Chief of Army Staff, COA's Lieutenant General Taurid Lagwaja, has performed groundbreaking foundation laying for the construction of the Abdul Samad Rabi Corporal and Below quarters at the Muhammad Buhari Cantonment, Giri, Abuja. Speaking at the ceremony, the Army Chief said the project will immensely contribute to addressing the huge infrastructure deficit the Nigerian Army is currently facing in Abuja. Kikelamo Ukiri has details.
The Army Chief says Nigerian Army under his leadership will continue to give utmost priority to the welfare of his personnel as crystallized in the third term of his command philosophy, which is to provide sound administration and support to the home front of personnel as major pillar. He called on other corporate organizations to emulate ASR Africa and support the government in meeting some of the essential needs of the security agencies.
By the time these facilities will be completed and handed over to the Nigerian Army, it will go a long way in addressing the problem of accommodation that confronts our personnel, especially here in Abuja. We have a large contingent of Nigerian Army personnel that work and reside in Abuja, and provision of accommodation is a must for these personnel.
In his address, the chairman, Boa Group Abdusamad Rabiu, stated that through the security sector support grant, the firm was able to support the armed forces and other security agencies in the country, noting that the management is pleased with the Nigerian Army for utilizing the grant allocated for infrastructure development. Rabiu, who was represented by the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, ASR Africa, Ubo Udo, stressed that the contribution of the ASR Africa is an indication of its commitment to development solutions in Nigeria and in Africa in general.
Okay, so this is part of the security sector support grants from Alhaji Abdusamad Rabiu. We've already provided grants ranging from 500 million naira to 2 billion naira for 10 security agencies and the armed forces. This is part of our program, and we're going to implement these ones first and then see what happens going forward. You work for the Army, eh? So the allocations were done based on, of course, the strength. The Army, Air Force and Navy got 2 billion each. We understand that the Army, of course, has, of course, a lot more men. But we're open to individual proposals as well.
Highlight of the ceremony were the foundation laying for the construction of 120 units of corporal and below quarters by the Chief of Army Staff and presentation of souvenir. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Nigerian Labour Congress NLC Joe Ajaero on Friday says he was arrested in Owerri, Imo State, capital, by the Nigerian police and was handed over to waiting thugs that got him thoroughly beaten. Briefing journalists in Abuja, the NLC president says the NLC wrote to all security agencies before they went to the state for the protest on November 1. According to him, workers who arrived at the venue of the protest on that day at about 7 a.m. were allegedly beaten by thugs and their phones seized. The NLC president, however, denied the allegation by the Imo State government that he is a card-carrying member of the Labour Party. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has deployed its operative and election monitoring operations in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State. The Commissioner's head of media and publicity, Dile Oyewale, in a statement says the operations were aimed at checking electoral fraud and associated crimes. Oyewale stated that in the Commission's drive to checkmate electoral fraud and association financial crimes, the Anti-Graft Agency has deployed its officers to Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State, where governorship elections are holding today, November 11, 2023. Yaga Africa has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to ensure proper coordination of deployment of materials and personnel for the off-cycle governorship election in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State. In a statement jointly signed by board chair and executive director Yaga Africa and read by Ezinwa Nwago to the journalists in Abuja, the organization charged the commission to ensure that materials and personnel get these places promptly. Our correspondent Subarat Usman was there for Global TV.
Yaga urged INEC to resist attempts to sabotage information technology logistics preparation by collaborating with security agencies to arrest and prosecute defaulting transport companies.
Yaga Africa projects low voter turnout in the respective states owing to the spate of pre-election violence, a deep sense of citizens' distrust, apparent fear of intimidation, voter fatigue, and loss of faith in elections as a means to achieving democratic leadership. Yaga Africa advocates for 11th hour confidence building voter education to improve voter turnout. Deployment of election materials. Yaga Africa notes INEC's deployment of sensitive and non-sensitive election materials to the local government areas in the 3 states. While this projects a positive outlook, Yaga Africa calls on INEC to ensure proper coordination and communication with the transport companies unions, providing logistics support to ensure early deployment of materials and personnel to polling units on election day. The Commission should resist attempts to sabotage its logistic preparations by collaborating with security agencies to arrest and prosecute any defaulting transport companies. This will address the recurring late commencement of polls.
Yaga Africa therefore called on the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security to ensure that security personnel deployed for the election comply with the Code of Conduct on Election Security.
Yaga Africa calls on political parties, candidates, and their supporters to commit to peaceful campaigns ahead of the elections, and on election day to refrain from vote buying and compromising the secrecy of the ballot. Yaga Africa urges voters to resist efforts to purchase their votes, turn out in their numbers, and vote according to their preferences on Saturday, November 11th. Yaga Africa is watching the vote observation for the 2023 Up-Circle governorship elections. We'll just share details of our deployment plan for tomorrow. For the November 11 governorship election, Yaga Africa is deploying a comprehensive and systematic observation of the elections, which involves deploying the process and results verification for transparency, PRVT, formerly called PVT methodology, to observe the governorship elections in Imo and Kogi states. Yaga Africa would also...
Voters were therefore urged to resist efforts to purchase their vote and cast their ballot in line with their preferences come November 11th. Swabra Usman, Global Television News, Abuja.
You're watching Global TV AM News, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. And the AM News returns. Federal government to spend 7.76 trillion naira on salaries as well as other items. The news continues shortly with details of this and other stories right after this short break. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Global Television, bringing you live broadcasts of the AM news from the Nigerian's capital, Abuja. On the foreign scene, prosecutors in Burundi on Thursday called for sacked Prime Minister Alain Guillaume Bunyoni to be sentenced to life in prison, as he has been on trial since September before the Supreme Court sitting in session at the prison in the principal political capital, Gatera, where he is being detained. Bunyoni was Prime Minister from mid-2020 until September 2022, when he was fired, days after President Evariste Ndayishimiye warned of the coup clause against him. He is accused of threatening the life of the head of state, undermining national security, attempting to topple government institutions, disabling the economy, and illegal enrichment, among other charges. Appearing in the dock with 6 co-defendants, he pleaded not guilty to all charges and said he should be acquitted because of lack of evidence against him. The presiding judge says a verdict will be issued within 30 days. The Yuan arms of China's largest bank said on Thursday that it was hit by a ransom attack, forcing clients to reroute trades and disrupting the U.S. Treasury market. Citibank, owned by ICBC, is the biggest of China's big 4 banks and the world's largest legal by assets, according to S&P Global. ICBC Financial Services, which is headquartered in New York, said in a statement that the attack, which happened on Wednesday, has been reported to the law enforcement. ICBC Financial Services added that it was in the process of investigating the incident and trying to recover from the cyber attack. Declared U.S. Treasury trade executed Wednesday and repurchase agreements financing trades done on Thursdays. It said in a statement, a ransomware attack is a type of malicious software that encrypts a user's file and system, rendering them inaccessible. The system of ICBC's head office in Beijing and the other domestic and overseas unit were not affected by the incident, nor was the ICBC New York branch, statement said. On Friday, China's foreign minister says the bank was paying close attention to the incident. Cities of climate-threatened Tuvalu will have the right to live in Australia under a landmark part of Ville Friday. It is an offer of refuge as their Pacific homeland is lost beneath the seas. Prime Minister Koshi Antayo and Anthony Albanese inked a treaty to help Tuvalu's 11,000 residents tackle climate change and take up sanctuary should the war's fears materialize. Tuvalu is among the world's most vulnerable nations due to rising sea levels. 2 of Tuvalu's 9 coral islands have already largely disappeared under the waves, and climate scientists fear that entire archipelago will be inhabitable within the next 80 years. Toxic smoke in eastern Pakistan has made thousands of people sick, forcing authorities to shut some cities for the rest of the week. Smog in the country's second largest city, Lahore, has risen to dangerous levels. The Punjab provincial government has ordered schools, offices, malls and parks in 3 cities, including Lahore, be closed until Sunday. Over the past few days, Lahore's air quality index, which measures the level of fine particulate matter in the air, has hovered around 400 mark. AQI levels at or below 100 are generally thought as satisfactory. Lahore borders the India city of Amritsar. North India is also suffering from the impact of toxic smoke. Air pollution in the Indian capital Delhi has risen to alarming levels. On Tuesday, the air quality index for the Indian capital hit 300 on 7th of November, nearly reaching the hazardous level of 301 to 500. Time to talk about some business now. The federal government recently agreed wage with the organized labor, salaries to federal workers and other non-debt recurrent costs are expected to go up 7.76 trillion naira in 2023. This is based on the data from the initial 2023 budget and recently signed 2023 supplementary budget. The country's central government recently approved 2.18 trillion naira budget to augment new expenses, including an agreed wage rewards for workers due to the removal of fuel subsidy. When the budget was announced, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, noted that 605 billion naira has been earmarked for the national defense, while 210 billion naira will cover the payment of wage awards. According to appropriation details from the Budget Office, 1.01 trillion naira of the total budget is for recurrent expenditure, with 1.17 trillion naira pegged for capital expenditure. The supplementary budget is set to increase the total non-debt recurrent expenditure of the federal government to 7.76 trillion naira and capital expenditure to 4.53 trillion naira. Despite recent move by the Central Bank of Nigeria to strengthen the foreign exchange market, the naira closed trading on the investor-export forex window on Thursday at 996.75 naira per dollar. This is a 13.95% decline from the 874 naira 71 cent per dollar. It closed trading on Wednesday. So far, naira has lost 27.75% of its value since opening the week at 780 naira 23 kobo per dollar, according to details on FMDQ OTC Security Exchange. Since firming up against the dollar last week, after news that the Apex Bank was clearing some of the backlog broke, the naira has been on steady decline in both of the official and parallel markets. That's it on the AM News, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. We are on StarTime channel 276. Kindly follow us across social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. On behalf of the production team, I am Fauziya Lukman, thanking you so very much for watching. I'll see you soon.